Have you ever wondered how many sins our tongue commits daily? From insidious lying to destructive defamation, why do we fall into these verbal mistakes that hurt others and ourselves? In this video, we will unravel 7 sins of the tongue, revealing those toxic behaviors that often go unnoticed, as outlined in biblical teachings. But don't worry, we're not here to point fingers, we're here to offer solutions. Join us as we explore how to correct these errors and improve the way we communicate, following the path of biblical wisdom. This video promises to be very interesting. Before continuing, could you like and subscribe if you haven't already? And don't forget to activate the bell to receive our updates. Thank you for your support. Let's start. Once upon a time, there was a king who wanted to find the best and the worst of his servants. He summoned his court and announced, "He who brings me the most valuable object will be generously rewarded, and he who brings me the most despicable object will be punished." The servants scattered in search of treasures and jewels, but one of them decided to search for something deeper. After reflecting, he returned with his tongue in his hand. The king, surprised, asked him why he had chosen that object. The servant responded, "The tongue can build or destroy, it can heal or hurt. It is the most powerful instrument we possess." Impressed by his wisdom, the king named him his most trusted advisor, recognizing that true wealth lies in the power of the word. However, when the king asked the servant to bring the most despicable thing, he, with regret, presented another language. Then, the king understood that words can also be the most destructive, and decided to educate his court about the value of speech and the consequences of their linguistic actions. In this story, we contrast how the same object, language, can be both the best and the worst, depending on how it is used. It is clear that this is a reality that we cannot deny. We have all failed at some point and hurt our neighbors with our words. However, with the guidance of the word, we improve ourselves day by day. This is the challenge that we will address in this video, learning to improve our communication and being aware of the power that our words have to build or destroy. Santiago immerses us in the very nature of language, presenting us with incisive truths about its power and its consequences. Let's read in Santiago chapter 3, verse 2. "Because we all offend many times. If anyone does not offend in word, this is a perfect man, also capable of restraining the whole body." Santiago articulates 2 ideas rooted in Jewish literature and thought. The first, that there is no person in the world who does not commit any sin. That there is no room for pride in human life, since there is no human being on earth who lacks some defect of which to be ashamed. The second, there is no sin more prone to falling into it or with more devastating consequences than sins related to the tongue. Dear listeners, let me ask you, what is your defect? Are you aware of it? If they answer affirmatively, then we have reason to be ashamed and seek, with the help of God's grace, perfection. A certain Jewish sage taught, "Honor and shame are found in conversation, and on the tongue of a man is his fall. Do not allow yourself to be called a gossip, nor to lie in wait with your tongue. For just as defamation awaits a thief, so also a bad condemnation awaits the double-tongued. Don't become an enemy instead of a friend. Otherwise, you will inherit bad fame, shame, and reproaches. This is what happens to the sinner who has a double tongue." This wise man also said, "Perverse be the murmurer and the double-tongued, because they have destroyed many who lived in peace. A viper's tongue has stolen the tranquility of many, banishing them from nation to nation. He has demolished strong cities and laid waste the houses of great men. He has dismembered the forces of the people and destroyed strong nations. A viperine tongue has rejected virtuous women, depriving them of their work. Whoever pays attention to him will never know rest, nor will he ever live in peace, nor will he have a friend to whom he can confide. The whiplash leaves a scar on the body, but the blow given with the tongue breaks the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not as many as those who have been victims of the language. Well is he who is protected from it, and has not passed through its poison, who has not borne her yoke, nor been yoked to her cart. Because his yoke is iron and its straps bronze. The death he causes is exceedingly cruel. Better would be the grave than falling into his hands. Be careful to surround your possessions with thorns, and bind your silver and your gold tightly, and weigh your words in balance, and put a bridle to your lips and bar the door of your mouth. Be on your guard so as not to slip on it, lest you fall before him who lies in wait, and your fall will be as irremediable as death. That is very true. If we let our tongues loose the reins, they become instruments of destruction. Let's read Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. There are men whose words are like blows of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is medicine. Some people use their tongue as a sword, stabbing others, cutting and causing pain. The wise man speaks medicinal words, healing the wounds caused by the charlatan. On one occasion, I heard someone share a powerful reflection. I believe that it is preferable to face physical attacks rather than suffer the impact of hurtful words. Blows can heal over time, but emotional wounds, those that affect the heart, are more difficult to heal. Therefore, I value the importance of taking care of our verbal expressions and the impact they can have on others. Now, Santiago also presents us with the tongue. Despite being so small, it has the power to control the entire person and influence all aspects of their life. Let's read Santiago chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. So also the tongue is a small member, but it boasts of great things. Behold, how great a forest a small fire kindles. And the tongue is a fire, a world of evil. The tongue is placed between our members and defiles the whole body and inflames the wheel of creation, and itself is inflamed by hell. The tongue could be compared to a match in size, but its effect is like a burning forest. An uncontrolled tongue can dirty the entire body, the entire person. The wheel of creation can also be translated as the wheel of life, that is, the complete course of life. The tongue can damage a person's entire life. Furthermore, hell indicates that Satan can put words in the mouths of believers by putting ideas in their minds. Now, it is essential to understand that when we encounter the Lord, we are forgiven, and then we experience his process of sanctification. Because in believers, certain inclinations towards evil persist, rooted in habits and in our sinful nature. Therefore, it is necessary to perfect the holiness that we have received, which is a continuous process. This sanctification is gradual and covers various aspects of our life, including our emotions, feelings, thoughts, and also our words. Some tend to limit the idea of holiness to specific areas, but in reality, holiness encompasses all of us. It is important to understand that the sanctification process involves integral growth in all areas of our life, not just in selective aspects. Let's read in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23. And the God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and your whole being, spirit, soul, and body may be kept blameless for the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. With this in mind, let's proceed to analyze the 7 sins of the tongue. Number 1, the lie. The Bible considers lying as a serious sin that goes against the truth and justice of God. This sin is mentioned repeatedly in the scriptures, emphasizing its destructive nature and the consequences it entails. Let's read Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25. Therefore, putting away lies, speak the truth, each of you with his neighbor, because we are members of one another. The Greek word is pseudos, which means lie, falsehood, unfaithfulness. Paul now moves from the believer's position to his state. Because you have put off the old man and put on the new man through your union with Christ, you should demonstrate this shocking change in your daily lives. They can do it first, by discarding the lie and putting on truthfulness. Lying here includes all forms of insincerity, whether it is manipulating the truth, exaggerating, cheating on exams, cheat, fail to keep promises, betray the trust placed in them, flatter or manipulate the income tax return. The word of the Christian should be totally reliable. His yes should mean yes and his no, no. The life of a Christian becomes a libel instead of a Bible when it stoops to any form of manipulation of the truth. How many homes and how many congregations have been destroyed by lies in the form of gossip and slander? Putting away lies, speak truth. And remember that it is possible to lie, not only with words, but also with your eyes, with your shoulders, shrug to indicate I don't know, with silence, with some facial expression, or with some hand gesture, etc. If anyone's purpose is to deceive or leave any false or erroneous impression, it is a lie. Also, a half-truth is a lie. Now, the lie is abominable in the eyes of God. Let's read Proverbs chapter 12, verse 22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who do truth are his contentment. The abomination is something that produces repulsion to God. The term carries extreme hatred. God hates liars. How careful we must be to not obscure the truth, to say white lies, exaggerate, or tell half-truths. A sure way to please his heart is to be absolutely honest and trustworthy. In the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44, Jesus describes the devil as the father of lies. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. He has been a murderer from the beginning and has not abided in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of himself, for he is a liar and the father of lies. This establishes a clear opposition between divine truth and diabolical lies. Now the Bible presents consequences and warnings. Lying not only destroys trust between people, but also has spiritual and ethical consequences. In Proverbs chapter 19, verse 9, it says, "A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies will perish." This verse warns of the judgment and punishment that awaits liars, also in Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. In John's vision of the final judgment, liars are listed among those who face eternal damnation. But the cowardly and unbelieving, the abominable and murderers, the fornicators and sorcerers, the idolaters and all liars will have their part in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. This shows us the cruelty of lying and its severe consequences. Therefore, lying, according to the Bible, is a sin that must be avoided and eradicated from the lives of believers. The call to truthfulness is an invitation to live in the light of divine truth, promoting justice, trust, and harmony in the community. For Christians, adherence to the truth is a manifestation of their faithfulness to God and a reflection of his righteous and holy character. Number 2, the murmuring. The murmuring, according to the Bible, it refers to speaking ill of someone behind their back, expressing complaints or discontent in secret, and sowing discord through gossip and criticism. This act is seen as a sin because it undermines unity and trust in the community, and reflects an attitude of discontent and lack of faith in God. Biblical definition of murmuration would be, first, speaking badly about others behind their backs. Murmuring involves making negative or critical comments about someone without that person being present to defend themselves or explain their point of view. In the Bible, we find numerous examples of murmuring, such as the people of Israel who murmured against Moses. Miriam and Aaron also murmured against their own brother Moses. Let's read Numbers chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had taken, because he had taken a Cushite wife. And they said, "Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Has he not also spoken for us?" And the Lord heard it. His criticism of Moses was twofold. It included distaste for his choice of wife, and it raised the question of why Mary and Aaron were not recognized, along with Moses, as also capable of receiving God's messages. Dear listeners, Miriam and Aaron thought they knew what was best for Moses. If Moses had chosen a Cushite wife, what did it matter to them? This suggests that their pretentious attitude led them to believe that they knew what was best for Moses, and they did so with an attitude of murmuring. Mary and Aaron did not go unpunished for this act, but were punished. This shows us how God hates murmuring. Similarly, many people murmur, wanting to decide what is best for others, and often ask, "Why this?" or "Why that?" Second, the murmuration. It can also be understood as the expression of complaints or discontents in a hidden or private way, instead of addressing problems openly and constructively. Let's read in Santiago chapter 4, verse 11, "Brethren, do not murmur against one another. He who murmurs against his brother and judges his brother, murmurs against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a maker of the law, but a judge." Santiago, he addresses the sin of a fault-finding spirit and speaking evil against one's brother. 3 questions are suggested before criticizing others. What good does it do for your brother? What good does it do you? What glory to God is there in that? The law commands us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Speaking ill of a brother or judging his motives is equivalent to despising this law and considering it worthless. Deliberately breaking the law involves treating it with contempt, suggesting that it is neither good nor worthy of obedience. Whoever criticizes his brother places himself in a strange position, acting as a judge instead of being judged, considering himself superior to the law instead of being subject to it. Only God is superior to the law, since he gave it and judges by it. Therefore, no one should usurp God's position and judge others. Santiago warns against complaining and murmuring within the community, reminding believers that they will be judged by their words and attitudes. Dear listener, if you are going to speak negatively about someone and gossip behind their back, it is better to keep silent. If you have the courage to say it, do it directly in her presence. Otherwise, don't say a word. People are experts at talking behind their backs and often too cowardly to confront directly. Number 3, the slander. The slander is a serious sin in the Bible and refers to making false accusations against someone with the intention of damaging their reputation. This sin is condemned for several reasons and in several biblical passages, underlining its seriousness and the consequences for both the slanderer and the community. Slander involves spreading lies or half-truths with the purpose of discrediting or harming another person. This act not only harms the victim, but also corrupts the slanderer, generating distrust and discord in the community. It is one of the 10 commandments, which prohibits lying and defaming others. Let's read Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. "You shall not speak false testimony against your neighbor." In the book of Proverbs, in verse 19 of chapter 6, we are taught, "The false witness who speaks lies, and he who sows discord between brothers." The slander is one of the things that God hates, as it creates division and conflict. That is why he says in Psalm 101 verse 5, "He who sneakily reviles his neighbor, I will destroy. I will not suffer the one with haughty eyes and a vain heart." In this passage, we are told the severity with which God treats slanderers. Number 4, the gossip. The gossip, according to the Bible, is a condemned practice that involves the spread of rumors or unverified information about the private lives of others, often with the intention of causing harm or sowing discord. Here are some biblical perspectives on gossip. First, the gossiper tells his friends, let's read Proverbs chapter 16, verse 28. "A wicked man stirs up strife, and the gossiper separates the best friends." This verse highlights how gossip can cause conflict and separate close people. Second, the gossiper discovers secrets. Let's read in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 13. He who gossips discovers the secret, but he that is of a faithful spirit keepeth all things. Discretion and trust are important values, and gossip can break that trust by revealing secrets. In Proverbs chapter 20, verse 19, we also read, He who gossips discovers the secret. Don't get involved then with the loose tongue. This verse warns about the dangers of associating with people who spread gossip, as they can reveal secrets and cause harm. The Bible warns against gossip because of its ability to cause division, reveal secrets, be an idle and harmful activity, and its destructive power is comparable to that of an uncontrolled fire. Instead of gossiping, we are encouraged to use our words to edify and encourage others. Number 5, corrupted words. Corrupted speech generally refers to that conversation that is dirty and suggestive. This includes off-color jokes, profane speech, and dirty stories. But here it probably has the broadest meaning of any form of frivolous, empty, idle, and unworthy conversation. Let's read Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt word come out of your mouth, but that which is good for necessary edification, to give grace to the hearers. This verse urges us to avoid using corrupt or rude words, and instead to speak in a way that edifies and benefits those who hear us. In Colossians chapter 4, verse 6, it also says, Let your word always be with grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you should respond to each one. Here we are encouraged to always keep our words kind and gracious, so that we can respond appropriately to every situation. One should speak what is spiritual, healthy, appropriate, kind, sensitive, purposeful, flattering, pleasant, edifying, truthful, loving, and considerate. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 8, we also read, But now you also leave all these things, wrath, anger, malice, blasphemy, dishonest words from your mouth. Here the apostle spoke to us about the habits that we have to take off as if it were a suit or a dress. And after all, a dress becomes a custom, doesn't it? There are many people who have the habit of playing sports, and they usually wear the appropriate clothing for it. And there are different people who manifest different habits, and that is what Paul was talking to us about here. He was asking that believers throw off these ancient practices, just as they would throw away old, dirty clothes. These clothes are not washed, but thrown away. They end up in the garbage can. On the list we have anger, malice, blasphemy, dishonest words from your mouth. Dishonest words from your mouth, it means speaking ordinary things, rude things, and includes offensive and obscene words. We cannot believe that there are believers who enjoy that vocabulary and indulge in that type of conversation. Some Christians use swear words or curse words, and then we colloquially say that they swear curses. This way of expressing oneself says a lot about what there is and what there is not in people's hearts, and we cannot understand how someone can profess to be a child of God and behave in that way. Really, they are elements that must be removed from life. Number 6, criticism. There is a significant difference between helping someone improve and having a critical spirit. A critical spirit is never pleased. A critical spirit waits and finds disappointment wherever it looks. A critical spirit judges arrogantly, is easily provoked, counts every mistake, and never hopes to feel satisfied. This attitude harms both those who criticize and those who are criticized. Biblical criticism is helpful, loving, and based on truth. The correction must be kind. It comes from love, not from a spiteful attitude. Let's read the Gospel of Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 and 2. Judge not, lest ye be judged. For with the judgment with which you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure with which you measure, it will be measured to you. As the context reveals, Not all types of lawsuits are prohibited. There is a right kind of judgment that we are supposed to exercise with careful discernment. Biased, hypocritical, advantaged, or any other type of unfair judgment is prohibited. However, to fulfill the commandment that follows, it is necessary to differentiate dogs and pigs from our own brothers. Let's read Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and tear you to pieces. Number 7. To curse. The sin of cursing, according to biblical teaching, involves using our words to wish evil or cause harm to someone or something. This act goes against the principles of love, compassion, and forgiveness that the Bible teaches us. Let's read Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and he who loves her will eat her fruits. This verse highlights the power of our words to influence people's lives, whether for good or ill. Cursing others can have negative consequences for both the person who issues the curse and those who receive it. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 44, it says, But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you. Jesus teaches us to love even our enemies and to pray for those who do us wrong. Cursing others goes against this principle of love and forgiveness and reflects a heart full of resentment and hatred. The Bible urges us to use our words to bless and edify others instead of causing them harm or wishing them harm. Dear listeners, the sins of the tongue, according to biblical teaching, cover a wide range of behaviors and attitudes related to the inappropriate use of our words. These sins range from slander and lying to arrogance and unjust judgment. In short, they are all those words and expressions that cause harm, division, distrust, or pain to others. The Bible teaches us that our words have power and that we must use them wisely and thoughtfully. Instead of using our tongues to destroy, we should use them to edify, comfort, encourage, and promote peace and unity among others. This involves practicing honesty, kindness, humility, and compassion in our interactions with others. Furthermore, the Bible reminds us that God will judge us for every idle word we utter, which highlights the importance of being mindful of our words and using them in a way that honors God and benefits others. And with this, we come to the end of our video. I hope you found this information useful and interesting. See you in the next video. God bless you.